Hello, friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I have not gone live to share a story with all of you in a really long time, and I'm inspired by something I experienced in the last week in my life that I feel like could be a super teachable moment and maybe inspire some of you. And I thought it'd be a lot more fun to tell it than to write it, even though I'll write a little description below here. So, on the summer solstice, I was in Austin, Texas, because a friend of mine was getting married. First of all, the backstory is I actually almost didn't go to the wedding because I was like, who am I to go on a vacation and have so much joy in my life when I have work to do and money to save? And at the last hour, I made this decision of, no, you know what? I want to celebrate my friend and I want to meet her friends. Because the thing was, she used to live where I live in Denver, and now she lives in Austin. And I'd be going to the wedding knowing nobody but her. So I had this opportunity to turn a lot of strangers into friends, of course, knowing that the people she surrounds herself with are going to be people I'd like to surround myself with as well. And I was right. So one of the guys that I met on this trip, his name's Drew, and he is actually friends with the groom. And he's been on this 14-month cross-country road trip, which in stranger to friend land is speaking my language, right? So he had all these stories of his own that he's been going around and connecting with people. And so we just really hit it off, getting to know each other. And so here we were on the summer solstice. We were down at Barton Springs. I don't know if you've been to Austin or not, but Barton Springs is a natural spring, and then it turns into a river and it runs through Austin. And him and a couple guys and this one other gal that I befriended dared me to go with them to the pedestrian bridge and jump off of it into the river. I don't know about you, but bridge jumping really isn't my thing. I've never done it before. And it just made me kind of giggle with that phrase of like, if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? And I thought to myself, heck no, I'm not jumping off a bridge. But I would go out there with them and watch them jump off the bridge. So we're walking out to the bridge and they're just kind of like feeding me like the rush of what it's going to feel like, and like, why wouldn't I do it? And not really peer pressuring me, but really having me go like, Carlin, like, why wouldn't you do this if we're all doing this? It's going to be a blast. And you're going to be able to say on the summer solstice, you jumped off a bridge. So we get to the bridge. It's about 25 feet. You know, you see above the river, there are kayakers every now and then. I learn it's illegal to do this. Like there's a small fine, but there's really no one around us. And I'm more of a ask for forgiveness, not permission type person anyways. But I was like, there's no way. I am climbing up, like it's a bridge. And then there's like the metal on either side of the bridge. You know, it's about that wide. And you always have to climb up, stand on this bridge like a balance beam, and then like willingly throw yourself off of this bridge into the water. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. Like, that is way too scary. So I watched two guys do it, and like, they don't even think. They just climb up and they're like, woo, and they jump off and they splash in the water and they're having a blast. And I'm like, well, I mean, it actually looks kind of fun, but like, I'm not jumping off a bridge. There's no way I'm going to jump off a bridge. And then my girlfriend decides to do it. And she's like, will you film me in slow motion? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to get a slow-mo video of you jumping off the bridge? You're kind of amazing. So just like that, she jumps off the bridge and I film her and I'm like, she's like, oh my gosh, Carlin, it was so much fun. So now the guy that had initially planted the seed in my head looks at me and he's like, are we doing it? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And he's like, we're doing it. And like, all of a sudden there was kind of this out of body experience where I found myself really going, okay, I am terrified of this, but what am I so terrified of? And I start like one foot, then another, like climbing up the metal of this bridge. And I'm like, oh my God, climbing this right now is so scary. Like I was questioning my balance. I was envisioning myself standing on top of like the balance beam part of the bridge and slipping and falling. And like, what if I hit my head on the back of it? Or like, what if I jumped wrong and like broke my neck? I mean, you know, all of these scenarios come through when you're about to do something daring, something you've never experienced before that you don't know how it's going to turn out, even though you're watching other people do it and everybody's fine. So I find myself climbing up and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. And like, I get back down and then I start climbing again. And at this point, Drew is now on the bridge and he's like, Carlin, you need to get up here. I can't stand here too much longer. So before I know it, I'm standing there and I'm just like, oh my God. And I recognize I wasn't as much scared to jump as I was like scared to stand here and try and balance. So I start thinking to myself, like, I'm talking myself out of it. And before I know it, he just looks at me and he's like, no more thinking, on the count of 3. And all I start thinking about then is, well, what position am I gonna jump in when I jump off this bridge? So I think to myself, I'll go down as a pencil, like the Olympians, like one of those dives. And before I know it, he goes 1, 2, 3. And like, the thinking turned off, the heart turned on, and I put my arms out and I formed my pencil. And before I knew it, I leaped off of a bridge willingly into the Barton Springs River. And I hit that water. No water went up my nose. I didn't lose my bathing suit. Nothing was broken. And I felt like so freaking alive. I couldn't believe I did. Like, it literally was out of body. Like, I was like, did I just do that? And I just laid in the water. That feeling where you just like kick up in the water and you look at the sky and I'm like, wow, I get it. That was such a cool adrenaline rush. And I realized like the only thing that would have prevented me from experiencing that moment and having that experience for the rest of my life as a memory is if I allowed the fear to take over. If I allowed that little voice in my head to be more focused on what could go wrong than what could go right. And like, how can I not share this with all of you? I'm not telling you all to go jump off a bridge. But I do want you to think about what in your own life are you not doing because you have this fear of what can go wrong, or you're, concerned what other people will think of you, or like, who are you to actually experience this? It's only for someone else. Because oftentimes in our own lives, the only thing that keeps us between where we are now and where we want to be and what we want to experience is that little voice inside of us that's either giving us permission or not. So, if there's any way that I can help inspire you to do something out of your comfort zone, awesome. And I would love for you to share with me what it is you end up doing so that I can celebrate you. I think we need to celebrate each other in these moments where we shift, right? We shift through something. And then, the more stories we share, the more we're going to inspire others to, see their own stories from other perspectives as well. So I'm going to continue to do more vlogs and more videos and more stories because I recognize there's so much power in inviting you into my world and then inviting you to share your world with me as well. So thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Thank you for being my stranger to friend. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye, friends.